Bitcoin just hit a new all-time high this month, sparking a big question. Is it too late to invest in Bitcoin now? Has the boat sailed? Or is there still time to jump in before it skyrockets even further? You've probably been thinking if you should continue buying Bitcoin, or you're even considering buying Bitcoin for the first time. You have a mix of FOMO, but also fear of losing your money. Will it pay off? Will the price still go up to 200,000, 500,000, or even 1 million like some experts predict? Or could it all go down? In this video, I want to share with you my thoughts on Bitcoin's future and my own journey of investing in Bitcoin. This is not financial advice, by the way. These are just my opinions and how I understand Bitcoin. So do your own research to come to your own conclusions and decisions. So let's dive in. This belief that it's too late to invest, whether it's in stocks, property, or anything else, just because the price is already very high is a faulty assumption. I agree, the price of almost 100,000 US dollars or about $140,000 Canadian, it seems astronomically high. By the way, Bitcoin has not hit $100,000 yet at the time of making this video, although it got super close. But in case it has now at the time you're watching this video, write 100K in the comments. But if we look back at Bitcoin's history, there were countless times when it was much cheaper and people still felt it was expensive. People thought Bitcoin was expensive at 60,000, a bargain, and even at 20,000.
Bitcoin above 20,000.
Such a steal now. Even at those prices, people thought it was too late to enter already. Was it though? Sure, it would have been amazing to buy Bitcoin at $8,000, even better at $800 or even $80. If you had, your investment would have increased by over 1,000 times by now. Let's not go there. But that doesn't mean that it's not a good investment now. The price itself doesn't determine whether it's a good investment or not. Its potential for growth does. I first heard about Bitcoin in 2011 when Bitcoin's highest price was $29 and I totally ignored it. Then I read some Bitcoin news in around 2017 and it cost below $20,000 at its highest. Again, I didn't pay attention to this mysterious coin. Yes, that's how it appeared to me, like some collector's coin I didn't understand anything about. It was only in 2021 that I started buying Bitcoin when Bitcoin was between 35 and 45,000 US dollars. I first started buying Bitcoin on this platform called NDAX, a Canadian cryptocurrency exchange. And I was super conservative about it because I didn't understand much about Bitcoin at that time, buying only $50 here, $50 there. NDAX is a really good platform, by the way. NDAX's trading fees are only 0.2%, and the app is super easy to use, even for beginners. Even if you're already on a crypto platform, as long as you're still keeping crypto on an exchange and haven't transitioned to a cold wallet yet, it's worth considering opening another account with another exchange like NDAX for diversification purposes. Although note that your Bitcoin is not actually located on that exchange because it's recorded on the blockchain. If you want to sign up for it, you can get a $10 bonus by using my referral link in the descriptions below and depositing your first $100 with NDAX. Note that I will receive a small commission as well. I continued to dollar cost average into Bitcoin throughout the years 2023 and 2024 as the price rose to 65,000 US dollars, dropped again to $16,000, pumped to 50, 60, 70,000, and finally almost reached $100,000. And at every price point, I also thought that, man, this is too expensive already and maybe it's time to stop. But when the price went up and up, I soon regretted that I didn't buy more. Now that I understand more about Bitcoin, I'm continuing to buy it, even though the lizard part of my brain says it feels expensive, because I believe that Bitcoin is still in its infant years and will grow massively in the next years and decades. I don't think that a $1 million Bitcoin is impossible, although it's still hard to fathom at this point. So am I saying that it's a good idea to invest in something just because it went up in the past? Not at all. In making a financial decision, especially when deciding what to invest in, it's less about historical performance, how an asset did in the past, but more about the fundamentals of the asset. What I'm trying to warn you about, though, is making this following mistake, and this applies to Bitcoin and other investments in general. To think that it's too late to buy Bitcoin just because it feels expensive without, one, understanding where we are in the history of Bitcoin, so Bitcoin's long-term price development we just talked about. People always thought it's too expensive to buy Bitcoin, but year after year the price kept climbing, and the same people would say, I should have bought 3 years ago, it was so cheap. It's also a mistake to dismiss Bitcoin without, two, understanding the true value of Bitcoin. You want to invest in something that's valuable now and that will continue to grow in value. That's why you don't park all of your money in a checking account or depreciating consumer goods, hopefully. But what is Bitcoin's value? And why do Bitcoin proponents say that it can only go up?
I think the Bitcoin is going to climb in a serpentine fashion. It's going to advance and come back, and it's going to keep climbing.
And these are the key factors that determine its value and future potential, and whether its price is likely to rise or fall in the future. A quick 101 on Bitcoin. Bitcoin was created by Satoshi Nakamoto, a pseudonym because until this day no one knows who he really is. Bitcoin is the first and largest decentralized digital currency, allowing users to transfer value directly without the need for intermediaries such as banks, governments, or other financial institutions. And this is one of Bitcoin's most unique characteristics. It has a fixed supply cap of 21 million coins. It's designed in such a way that there can never be more than that, which makes Bitcoin a truly scarce asset. This is why Bitcoin is so special in the eyes of many investors and why Bitcoin is different from other cryptocurrencies. And I would say that the following is the most important reason why I had to invest in Bitcoin. Since there is a limit of 21 million coins and no more Bitcoins can be issued, Bitcoin is anti-inflationary. I almost said anti-inflammatory, although that too, meaning that Bitcoin can serve as a hedge against inflation. The US dollar, Canadian dollar, and any other fiat currency in the world continue to lose value over time. The government issuing those currencies continue to print money to finance their ballooning expenses. Our US dollars, our Canadian dollars for my friends here in Canada, which we worked so hard to earn, is weakening and our purchasing power declining. Let's just look at the decline in purchasing power of the US dollar over time. One US dollar in 2020 used to be worth $25 about 100 years ago. In other words, its worth has declined by 96%. In 2020 alone, the US money supply grew by $3.8 trillion, which is 20% of all dollars ever created. And it's not much better in Canada. Imagine going to the store in 1970 with a $1 Canadian dollar bill to buy an item. Fast forward to 2024, you would need $7.80 to buy the same item. If we turn this around, if you had $1 in 1970, it would be worth only about 12 cents in 2024. The more money the government prints, the more value it will lose, and there's just no end in sight. In the short term, you may see currencies fluctuating, weakening, then strengthening again. But over the long term, the end game is that all fiat currencies are going towards zero. One of my favorite YouTubers in the crypto space, Bitcoin University, refers to the dollar as a melting ice cube. Soon you won't have anything left. Make sure to check out his channel if you want to learn more about Bitcoin. While there's this pending doom with fiat currencies, there's no inflation happening with Bitcoin because there is no more printing of Bitcoin. 21 million is all there is ever going to be. The question is if you are going to be an owner of one of these Bitcoins or not. One reason more people are buying Bitcoin is that Bitcoin is secure. Bitcoin transactions are secured using blockchain technology, which records every transaction on multiple servers or nodes across the globe. This decentralized structure ensures that no single entity controls or can alter these records. Once a transaction is added to the blockchain, it becomes nearly impossible to change or reverse, offering robust protection against fraud and manipulation. And here are two other developments that I think are really strong reasons for Bitcoin's price to increase even further. The first one is what's called Bitcoin's halving. So Bitcoins are created by miners through a process called mining. They'll mine until the maximum supply of 21 million Bitcoins has been generated by the network. And in return for their work, miners are rewarded with newly created Bitcoins. About every 4 years, the reward that the miners receive is cut in half. This means fewer new Bitcoins are created, making them more scarce. This halving reduces the rate at which new Bitcoins are introduced into the circulation, potentially making them even more valuable as demand increases and the supply decreases. So far, there have been 4 halvings, including the one in April 2024. And based on past halvings, history to take with a grain of salt as always, the Bitcoin price went up massively within a few months after each halving. And recently, we've seen this repeated again. Based on the decreasing supply and increase in demand, it would really surprise me if we would not see a similar jump in the next months and years. The second development that kind of foreshadows further massive price increases is increasing Bitcoin adoption. Right now, there are 106 million Bitcoin owners in the world and 400,000 daily Bitcoin users. This is still relatively low compared to the 5.6 billion adult population we have in 2024. But the important thing is that Bitcoin adoption, meaning people and businesses accepting and using Bitcoin as part of their financial strategy, is steadily increasing. Despite some short-term fluctuations, over the long term, the amount of Bitcoin holdings increase steadily. Right now, Bitcoin's market capitalization is still ranked 7 compared to gold at number 1. But here too, we see that it has steadily increased. And not only has individual adoption increased, but also institutional adoption, especially with the recent approvals of Bitcoin ETFs. And of course, the recent election results in the US will only make for a more hospitable environment for Bitcoin to flourish. And these are all reasons why it's likely for Bitcoin to go up further. Some even predict it could go up to $10 million, $20 million, even though I think that might take decades. Now, what about the risk? Of course, every investment has a risk. In the short term, Bitcoin is extremely volatile. So unless you're able to deal with Bitcoin going to $90,000 one day and then dropping to $80,000 and then $65,000, then shooting up again within a few weeks and months, then Bitcoin is not for you. Bitcoin is good as a long-term investment, as a store of value. Also, what if a worst case scenario happens, like all governments banning Bitcoin so you can't use it anywhere? Or what if there is a global internet shutdown so you can't access your Bitcoin? These are very unlikely events, I would say, in the same category of black swan events, very rare and unexpected events. So if you entertain these scenarios, it would only be fair to apply the same black swan events to other kinds of investments too. And then there are critics saying that Bitcoin is not useful as a currency. And yeah, there's truth to it. Right now, it's relatively slow and too volatile to be used to buy daily groceries. But who's to say that Bitcoin will not become faster and more practical to use in the future? And in the meantime, it's a great store of value. Then why are people so afraid to buy Bitcoin? Because they think that the price is already too high, as we just talked about. Because Bitcoin is volatile, which is correct. That's why you never put money that you need for short-term living expenses into Bitcoin. And also, don't put all of your money into Bitcoin. You want to diversify a bit. One investment strategy you can use is to only invest a small percentage of your long-term portfolio in Bitcoin. And of course, this is something new, so it's natural that people are critical. Will this last? Is this a scam? Is there a catch? I think it's a good idea to ease your way into Bitcoin. Start with small amounts you're comfortable with while learning and getting used to the volatility, and then over time you can increase your investments. But don't wait too long. Also, once you accumulate larger amounts of fraction of Bitcoins or Bitcoins, consider transitioning your Bitcoin to a cold wallet to safeguard it. I'm very happy that I invested in Bitcoin, even though I have to admit I had cold feet at times, moments thinking, should I stop? Is this too expensive now? And just fear messing with my mind. But that all being said, don't trust me, a random Bitcoin enthusiast on the internet. Do your own research to come to your own conclusions and decisions. But if you're ready to start your Bitcoin journey, then make sure that you check out the link to NDAX in the descriptions down below. So what do you think, guys? Is it too late to buy Bitcoin or not? Let me know in the comments down below.